So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, appreciate you guys being here Monday through Friday, noon Eastern time. My name's Andrew David. This is the High Performance Call. So welcome aboard. Now, these calls, there's all sorts of different topics. Today and this week, there's going to be a bit of training. Some of this stuff I have gone over more than once in the past, but it's always helpful. We always have new people coming in, and sometimes it is simply helping, even if you've been in the business for a little bit, help you understand a little bit better what you're doing. So what I want to talk about today and tomorrow is understanding the power of a niche, how to select a niche, why niches are important, and then we're going to get into target audience. Some of you guys have been doing this for a little while. Some of you guys have already selected the niche that you want to work in. That's fantastic. Awesome. Good for you. This may help you with the second niche. Right? Some of the study about the target audience may help you with the one you're dealing with right now. It's beneficial no matter where you stand, boys and girls. So hopefully this will be helpful to you. We're going to talk about the niche. What you guys have here with Blake's Partner Program. We have a funnel that's been built out, designed to help business owners increase their social media presence, increase their followers, turn those followers into customers, and have the proper follow-up. You've got a funnel that's established. You've got digital products that you can customize, and then there's already some email follow-up in place, right? Maybe one of these days we'll talk a little bit about the importance of long-term email for those of you guys that are looking long-term. But I also don't want to overwhelm you if you're getting the hang of everything else. Okay, so we're going to dive into niches. Before I start going into it, I will be answering questions throughout this. So if you have some, feel free to ask. Either, raise your hand if I can get to it that way. Otherwise, type into the chat would probably be the easiest way. With that said, occasionally I get the question, and I'd like you guys to answer this for me. We get the question, what is the best niche? Right? People ask that. And I've given this answer sometimes on these calls. What do you think my response would be? Even if you've never heard me say it, you could probably guess what my response would be. Woody, all of them. The one that works. The one that's going to work best for you. There's a lot of answers to that question, guys. Because, the one you're passionate about, the one that you understand, the one that works best for you, There's so many different niches out there. There's so many different possibilities, so many different avenues that you can take. There are differences to all of them. But there is some important things to understand when it comes to a niche. So that's what we're going to get into. Now would be a time, if you've got a question about a niche, go ahead, type it in there so we can make sure that we address it throughout. All right. So if you're selecting for the first time, or you've selected and you're kind of thinking about a second one, any of those things, so I can address them as we go through. All right. Is everybody cool with this topic? Are we good there? Everybody on board with me? Yes? No?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. If you're not, then tough, because that's what I already prepared. But if you're not, that's okay. Go watch one of the replays. But all right, so we'll kind of dive into this, guys. All right. Now, there are riches in niches. This comes from a book, something that I've been studying and thinking about. But there's a couple of different ways that we can define a niche. Okay, some easy factors to begin with. A type of business, which is really our main focus. Now, some of these are niche, but it can also get into helping understand our target audience a little bit more. Values can be one. Now, we've talked about this with some. 2020 is an easy way to look at it. Can we all understand, and we've seen different marketing that are value-based over the course of the last year especially? Can anyone think of some of those topics off the top of your head? Either in chat or vocally. Anybody? COVID would be one, right? Elite mentors be a niche. I'm asking because I'm having more people come. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Scott, we'll dive into that a little bit. So COVID would
Honestly,
be one.
I think politics would be part of it too.
Yeah, politics could be one side or the other of politics. Places like Black Lives Matter is one. Minority-based businesses is one. Women-owned businesses, Christian-based business. All of those things would be value-based, right? And all of them could be valid as a niche depending on how you want to go about it, right? And there's pros and cons to all of them. And as we talk about niches and we talk about target audiences, I'm going to say something that I've said before. I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday about it. When you're marketing, guys, there are things that you've got to understand. When you are marketing, there are stereotypes that are in this world. Some of them are there for a reason, positive or negative. I'm not getting into that discussion. Sometimes you need to, in essence, put the political correctness aside just for a little bit to say, how do I understand this audience a little bit more? Because there are certain things that fit into different categories. And if I'm trying to connect with them, then I want to understand those elements, right? Is everybody okay with that? We're not trying to step on any toes and get anybody upset, but if I'm marketing, I got to be able to connect with the audience I'm talking to, right? And there's certain verbiage and other things that goes with that. That's just the way it is. Now, we don't want to be silly about it, but especially if you're going value-based, you've got to understand your target audience, right? Cool with everybody? Solid? Okay, fantastic. Now, for those of you guys that have joined in the last couple minutes, we're just talking about selecting the niche, and then if it's your first one, you've already got it, great. We'll get into the second one. Tomorrow, I'm going to spend a little more time talking about your target audience and understanding them, but these elements are important. So values, education, interests, hobbies, geography is important. So some people are doing, if I'm going to do businesses that are typically urban-based, urban centers, then there are some places around the country or around the world that I don't have to market as much, right? I don't need to spend my dollars there. If I'm going after outdoor-based businesses, I've spoken with some people about that. The type of business that they're dealing with deals almost strictly with outdoor elements. Well, then I'm not going to target the big metropolitan areas like New York or LA or London because those businesses aren't there, right? I'm not spending my dollars where it doesn't make sense. That's why it's important. If I understand my niche, it makes it that much simpler. Next, benefits of the niche market. This is why we go after a niche. Reduce competition, focus efforts. You become an expert in a category and you can start to establish brand loyalty. Okay? Instead of trying to compete with everybody everywhere and garner attention from every single person out there, I can stay focused on a message that connects with an audience. Okay? And if there's questions along these, guys, please type them out. Scott, you and I might need to chat a little bit more about the one that you've got. All right. So this comes from a gentleman named Dan Kennedy. I've talked about him before, but it's better to choose a small haystack with more needles than a great big haystack with hardly any needles. Pretty straightforward, but that's what I want you guys to understand. As you're running your business, you need, the phrase that I've always used is an ocean full of clicks to get a ocean full of impressions to get a boat full of clicks to get a bucket full of buying customers, right? That's what the funnel does. Now,
how do we stop emails from going into, because I know email is a big thing. How do we stop it from going into people's spam folders? I know that's a big thing as far as title and what you say and how you bring them about. But my wife had a really good question, and I wanted to make sure that I remembered to ask you that. How do we make sure it doesn't go to spam?
So
I have a whole thing on that one, Andrew, but.
What's that?
I have a whole thing on that one.
Yeah. So I'll end up spending, I'm going to just give you a couple of quick things now and kind of the reality of it.
Okay.
I do want to end up talking more about email marketing on a later date. Email marketing in general, guys. So with the partner program, there's a sequence set up if they abandon cart, there's a sequence set up if they don't pick one of the upgrades. All of that's there. You do some customizations and that'll work and it's effective. There is going to be some though, especially at the very beginning. So what emails look for, Gmail, Yahoo, still have, how many of you guys are still on AOL? when I see one of you guys with an AOL email, I just kind of shake my head and go, what the hell, people?
My wife is on it, but I'm on Gmail, so it's okay.
Like let's, welcome to 2021 now. All right. Well, when was that? Like 1973 or something? Anyway. So with email, what they do is they look at the headline. They look at, do you have too many links in the email? Is there too many capital letters and exclamation points? Like there's certain things that they kind of go, it flags it. But at the very beginning, your email is just going to end up like you've got to almost season it, right? So the more that you get open and the more that it shows it's relevant, the better off it'll be. Right.
So that's why it was good to talk with Jim and Dean with it when they had that whole thing that was going on with emails and things like that.
Yeah, and we'll do some training on it, guys. But just understand at the beginning, you're going to have some that fall there, and it's just how it is, especially if you've got it set up on auto. It happens. So just understand that's part of the business when we get started. We got to develop that out. Okay. And then it also depends on the individual. Like I've got some stuff, and it's weird because you'll have some emails where from the same sender. So I'll have a sender that'll send me something and it hits my inbox every single time. And then that same sender will send me something and it goes to the spam. And sometimes it's just, they change the algorithms all the time. But anyway, the more relevant it is to my audience as well, they understand that. How many of you guys remember, especially if you have Gmail, a few years back, if you open up your Gmail on your computer, you'd be reading an email about something and there'd be an ad next to it about those items. Does anybody remember that?
Yeah.
I remember one of the first times, I think I was talking about buying.
It still happens.
I was email, but it's not as bad as it was, Renee. It used to be because they said they weren't going to do anymore. They still totally do. They still read those, they got bots running through those emails all day long, but it's not as blatant as it was, right? It still happens, but they do. My point is that they do check to see how relevant some of this stuff is, right? So anyway, for now.
Also, what I have noticed, Andrew, if you keep your email consistent and same font, don't change too many different fonts and just keep it to right to the point, they get delivered because I use some platform to deliver email. They do get delivered.
Yeah. So that helps. Don't change your font all throughout the email. Don't do different colors. Thank you. Some people do that. Like they'll do a bunch of different colors in the email. Don't do that ever. If you end up right now, if you guys are in the spot where you're like, hey, I'm just going to use what's here. Great. Then use what's there. And that's fine. So we're talking about some email and we're talking about long-term and we'll get more into it later on. So, all right. Next. Back in. All right. Here's why we go after a niche, guys. This will allow you to concentrate your efforts. Instead of trying to learn a lot of different things, instead of trying to appeal to a large audience and talk about small businesses in general, I can focus what I do. It's not just about, you not having a market. Like it lowers the amount of work that you as an entrepreneur have to do. And then it allows you to learn better the language of your audience, connecting with a focused and interest audience. They start to create a community around that, and we'll talk about that, but it makes all of these things easier. If you decide you want to end up with a website or you're doing a blog, some people will do that. Not all of you need to. That's okay. I'm not diving, I'm not getting too much into the next, website and everything else. But some of you long-term are thinking about that. It makes it easier for Google and everywhere else to show where you belong. Helps you connect with advertisers, sponsors, or other businesses. So this is part of what I've talked about with joint ventures. If you decide you want to run a banner ad on other sites, it makes more sense because you can target things appropriately, industry specific. If I'm targeting plumbers, maybe they've got an online magazine, or maybe they've got an industry-wide magazine that goes out that they put in their offices that they look at. Now, I'm not saying you ever have to take that step, but that's something to kind of think about, right? How else can I get into that industry? Okay. Give your business a clear direction. So all you have to do for your content, and it simplifies your marketing. Clear there?
I have a question for you. So now if you, I want to stay on the topic you're on. But if you want to check these things online, for example, you know how sometimes you're reading a newspaper and there will be an ad from the bank or something about this account, that account. How can we, as a digital marketer, approach those companies to put the ad there?
On the website or in like a magazine or newspaper?
On a magazine, like we're talking about on like subscription.
Almost all of these. So here's a couple of hints, guys. First, you check those advertisers that you think may fit for your industry. Now, if you want to know about your target audience, and I'll bring this up on the target audience training, okay? Some of you guys will pay attention to this and may actually do it. Find a magazine that's in that industry and ask for a press kit. They may have a digital version, a press kit.
Okay.
See, I'm an advertiser. I work with plumbers, healthcare professionals, certain age ranges, whatever. Everybody's got a magazine or a blog or something. Do you have a press kit? No, if they're smaller, they may not. You say, does anybody know what a press kit is? A press kit would be, here's Esquire magazine. And if I go in and I go, let me find they're going to have somewhere I could reach out to them online and say, listen, I'm an advertiser. Do you have a press kit? And a press kit is going to show me who their readers are. It's going to show me what demographics they are, what they do. Like, it's going to outline their avatar. And if I go, man, that's something I know, I've done some research and I see my people and my niche, there seems to be a lot of people in my niche that read that magazine. Or this magazine is, I'm going after architects and this is Architecture Digest, right? Things along those lines. They go, here's what our average reader looks like. Men and women between the ages of blah, blah, blah. Here's this demographic age group. Here's this. Here's what they like. Here's what they drive. Here's all of these things. So you go, great, I fit into one of these categories. Now, does that mean that I have to go market to them? No. But I can get that information. I mean, it doesn't mean I have to advertise with that magazine, but it means I've got that information now and I can turn around and go, how can I create my content with this niche? And when you guys don't select it, so can we see the power in being able to do something like that? Right? Understand, like, this is my niche and I'm so involved, like I get this. And versus not selecting a niche and trying to talk with everybody, go to a magazine stand, grab 50 magazines and come back and then get the press kits from all of those. And that's what you would try to be connecting with if you weren't going after a niche. You see how crazy that is? Right? Imagine what you're doing, your business, you're trying to position yourself just like, walking into the big bookstore where you've got the magazines there. The reason they're all set up in different places, right? You guys ever walk in and you completely avoid all the other areas and you go to this one little section? That's what we're trying to do with our marketing and advertising. We're trying to connect with the person that's going to come there and grab that. Right? That's why you do a niche. Okay. Janet, people I work with overcome trauma, so I have to figure out a business that would want to be seen. One of the things I like is masterminding. Can you offer any suggestions who I could think of targeting? So specifics on targeting, guys, I would get into with our strategy session. That's what that's about. Now, on our niche, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but Jen, I'm gonna have to ask if if we can make that question a little more concise. People were pushed to say how cool it would be to have a website, a Google page. I used to be a librarian. Like, okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, when you look at trauma, I mean, there's different businesses that deal with that. So I would pick one of them or just look at those experts that deal with that kind of thing. Like I work with addiction recovery centers. There's a lot of people in that. A therapist may be something, but all right. So we're all on the same page with where we're rolling here, right, guys? Okay. So focusing on one niche doesn't stop your business from growing. Understand this. When you get to that 10K mark, we can select another one. Now, I always recommend finding a niche that's close to my original because I don't want to rewrite the whole business plan personally. I'm not going to go from construction to medical Personally, if that's what you want to do, obviously your choice. I'm just trying to give you a pathway with less obstacles. But once you've proven a marketing strategy, you can add related products. So everyone understands that as amazing as this product, this funnel, and whether it's the 737, 197, you add the DFY plus, that doesn't have to be the only thing you ever offer to your clients, right? I know some of you guys already have a plan to offer coaching, consulting, you've got your own services, other things, but you can offer more than just the one thing to them. And that's the benefit of really understanding the niche, is we can step into that, right? But no matter what you learn, pick one that you can work with, and then you can start to apply it in other niches. All right. Next, with this, it's not only to make sales. You're looking to build yourself and your brand into being an expert in that niche. Guys, you should be looking at your niche and not just saying, how do I make my first sale? How do I get the first couple of bucks? If that's the attitude you have, you're short-sighted and it's going to hurt you long-term. You say, what could I do to develop myself into an expert in this niche? Because then I've got an opportunity to continue to change and modify. And that's where some of you guys have 20 years in a certain industry. And that's the niche you're going to roll with. And after a bit, you go, I could probably consult them on their business in general for $1,000 a month or whatever. Or maybe you don't want to do that at all and there's something else there. But building yourself as the expert will inevitably draw people to you because they begin to know, like, and trust you more. If you do not want to establish yourself as the expert, then we want to create the brand as the expert. And you could refer to it as the team or however you want to say it. But this has to become then the source within the niche that people come to. Right? Okay. When you choose an online and digital niche, your brand is going to end up revolving around it. So my content, my marketing, my headlines, my emails, it's involved in the niche. Because then I can understand their pain points and the products and services. So when we talk about a niche, guys, understand it's not just in the US. A lot of countries around the world are spending money. A lot. That's in the billions, and this is a couple years old. They're spending money online. So the way this funnel is set up currently is based around English speaking. So we have people in each of those countries that speak English, obviously. The biggest ones are going to be US, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand. With that said, depending on what you want to do, you can have sales in the other countries, but I may not necessarily, that may be where I focus organic reach, just building my organic audience. Because if I'm building my organic audience within a niche, right? And this is talking about targeting with ads versus targeting within my niche organically, because we're going to do both, right? Everybody's on page with me. We're doing both. We're not doing just paid ads. We're doing organic as well, possibly looking at other platforms. But if I'm building in a niche, then I can bring people in no matter what country they're in. We got people from all over here, right? It's not just US. But if I'm bringing in financial advisors or people in an entertainment industry or health or personal trainers or whatever, that's their commonality. And if I understand that niche, I can draw an audience in no matter where they are. Yeah? Good. All right. So we talk about in there, hey, select something with your passion. And I know, like when I got started, the niche that I'm in, it's not that I was passionate about addiction, right? I've never personally had an issue with substance abuse. It was something I thought of because of friends and family. And I went, it's turned into a passion. But guys, you can select it based on all sorts of different ideals. I recommend finding something that you can connect with, because it becomes easier for you to study the content, to post about the content, to talk about it, to connect with an audience, if you have some type of connection. If you have no connection, you're now overcoming yourself as well as the hurdles involved in marketing. So make it as easy as possible. Connect with an audience. Imagine walking into a room and being able to talk with who's there because you know it, and then being able to offer them a solution to all of those problems that they're dealing with because they just can't convert leads. How much easier is that to do if I can talk about it because I've been talking about it for the last 5 years or 10 years, or I've got family members maybe that have always been in it, but they've got brothers and sisters and parents and aunts and uncles, and it's just always been around them. My internet connection's unstable. Can you guys hear me?
I missed half of what you said.
Yeah,
Okay.
you paused for a while.
For
All right.
at least half a minute, you paused.
Okay. Well, that was the most important part, and I don't remember what I said now. It was the most enlightening moment you'll ever have in your life. So I'm sorry to say it's never happening again. No, what I was saying is simply that when you're looking at passion, knowledge, and success, you're going to select something based on what you're more comfortable with, hopefully, in an effort to connect easier, right? Look at every way that you can to lower obstacles, is what I say. If I can select a niche that I know, so maybe you're doing health and wellness and it's not something you've been a part of, but maybe brothers and sisters and parents and uncles and everything else, that's been there. Yeah, so you've got the 737 and 197 masterclass to sell. Like you're selling a solution to their problems. You've already got those products, right? They're already there. If you decide you want to add something else later, we can talk about that. And I know you and I have a follow-up tomorrow anyway, but you've got products, guys. Like you don't have to think, what am I selling? You're selling a solution. That solution is you're teaching a business owner how to use social media to increase their followers, turn those followers into buyers, and create a relationship that's going to allow them to generate funds with Facebook, right? Or other social media platforms. That's what you're selling. That's what you got with the partner program. It's not more complicated than that. Most businesses out there don't have a clue what they're doing, right? Most businesses say, oh, I've got a Facebook. Great. How many of those followers have actually bought something? Right? I've talked about this before. How many times have you guys been, you liked a local business Facebook page because they, you knew somebody, you'd been a customer, whatever, and you look, and if you go to it right now, you'll probably see an image of like from last week or the last few weeks, a happy hump day. They'll post something with some stupid meme of, the one with Kermit with the T in the window. They'll have something like that. They'll do and it has nothing to do with anything, but they're posting on social media, right? And they'll post a picture of them at an event, active in the community.
The picture speaks 1,000 words. That's their whole motto. So yeah, I get it.
But the picture doesn't speak to the audience, and it doesn't do anything except say, we don't know what the hell we're doing, but hey, we're here. A lot of people have a website simply to have a presence online. So many people, go look at some of the businesses that you do business with right now. Most of them haven't updated their website in the last few years. And it'll have a copyright that says I worked with someone when I was doing business consulting. This was just middle of last year. They hadn't updated their website since 2012. But hey, no, we've got a website. Great. How many visitors turned into buyers? Oh, you've got that many followers? How many of them have bought something from you? How many of them are active on, how many do you follow up with? What system do you have in place that turns a like into a follower, into a buyer, into someone that walks in your door? That's what you guys have. That's what the training does for them if they apply it. Or you have the DFY Plus where you say, I can build out that funnel for you if that's the way you want to go. And then if you decide later on you want to add services in, that's something else to talk about. But that's what you have with this. Now, instead of me trying to talk to every single business about that, because that phrasing that I just used, we can all agree that it would apply to just about any business that's out there. How many followers do you have? Are they becoming customers, et cetera, et cetera? But what I want to do is talk with Woody, who's got his business and his customers and his headache. And it's, maybe he's doing like I did. I was restoration. So, man, are you tired yet of having to deal with going and getting the 2:00 call and having people argue with you, or you're trying to figure out how you're tired of paying $300 for a hot lead from a lead service that 10 other contractors are getting in the same area. Are you tired of that yet? Wouldn't you rather spend some money on one of your own followers that calls you because they remember you, because you figured out how to build a relationship with social media? Right? So yeah, if someone comes and it'd still work, but I'm building out my funnel to go with the niche, right? And so there's always going to be some people on the periphery. You can sell to whoever the hell you want to sell to. You're going to convert better to a certain niche because that's what my targeting and my audience and my language is going to speak to, right? So good, Patricia. Awesome. So Patricia's talking about female boomer business owners. Can we see how that's a niche based on a demographic, age, right? All of those things. It's not necessarily health or this or that, but that's definitely a niche. Now, how she goes around finding that targeting, we'll get into target audience and Facebook and how to pull all that up. But that helps us say, here's a niche. So my language, she can all day long, she fits that profile, right? She can raise her hand and say, I understand it because it's me, right? How much easier does that make it? I get it because I'm dealing with it, right? Now I can take that step. I can talk with you. Now my audience is going to go, well, Patricia, yeah, I'm going to listen to you, right? Now, if I were to target women, boomer business owners that are frustrated online, am I going to connect the same way? I mean, I could say my mom, right? And I've helped my mother build her business. Like that's how I would attack it. So even if you don't necessarily fit the demographic, if you can't pick yourself up and put the hat on and say, that's me, there are ways to still do that, guys. And I want to be real clear about that. And if you're confused, one of the strategy sessions, or maybe join me on one of the live accelerator calls that I do occasionally, that'd be the time to do it. But I promise, no matter where you're at, no matter what niche you select, there's a way you can connect with that audience. There's a way you can do it. Okay? You just need to get creative. And quit telling yourself you're not creative, you can't figure it out. You just need to stop and think and imagine and go, okay, so here's some options. And then if we haven't had a session yet, then come on and we'll talk. And I'll help you figure it out. Scott, online launches are popular. Yep. A lot of people in my market anyway are doing them and asked what they can do to get more sales. Converting their profile would be a huge part of it. Yeah, having a profile, having the right kind of content, having content that matches their audience as opposed to I want to talk with everybody. It's same type of thing, guys. All right, couple more slides for today. Is this helping at all? Is this helping clarify things or maybe enforcing certain ideas that you guys already have?
A lot more clarity, yes. Thank you.
Good. So there are some ways to kind of look this up. So keyword search. This is from ubersuggest.com with Neil Patel. It's a great way to do keyword research. Okay, but Google keywords, looking up stuff here. Part of this is looking beyond just that specific category. So looking at the partners, businesses, and others that are around them that are doing business with the same audience. I've talked about this in depth on a number of calls. Yes, sir.
Can you go on the previous slide, please, for 30 seconds?
Yep. Ubersuggest.com is what that is. Okay. Now, looking beyond, I've talked about this, guys. I've done other trainings. This is kind of looking at those joint ventures, those other businesses that are also doing business with my customer, right? And my customer is a business in this category. So who else is doing business with my businesses? Maybe it's payroll. Maybe it's CPAs. Maybe it's a delivery guy, whatever. On Facebook, different places to look, business.facebook.com, setting yourself up, going in, looking at target audience in regular Facebook search, Facebook groups, looking at communities, audience size, demographics, all of these things. I'm just giving them to you quick because we go over more of that inside the modules, and we can discuss more another time. So Google, look up trends and topics. Look up things like this is, you can change this to 2021, obviously now. These are just a couple of things that I would look up. And I would look for businesses that are growing, that I connect with. not just, and here's a secret, guys. It's should be obvious to you, but we've got 50 people on this call. And over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to have, I don't know, dozens or hundreds more watch it. If all of you go and look up the exact same thing and then pick the top 2 businesses, what's going to happen? My point is, be creative, be original, look for things that connect with you, then look somewhere else, and then eventually you'll find that one. And maybe this is your second or your third niche. Maybe it's how to get better in touch with your niche that you've already selected. But don't always go for the number one thing. That's one reason why I hate the question, what's the best niche? Give me your top 3. Oh, I know you probably don't want to tell anybody, but what is it for me? If I told everybody the top 3 all the time, then all of you guys would do it. If I said fishing, and this is the reality, right? If I said fishing was the top niche, half of you would go try and do fishing. Not half of this group, because you guys are thinkers and you're intelligent and you're here all the time and you're paying attention.
Thank you. You're right.
Don't be sheep is what I'm saying. A lot of you guys have some amazing ideas. Go after them. When you're looking at a secondary, utilize that same, mindset. How can I connect with an audience? And how willing am I to become that expert? Because long term, I'm going to assist these people in pursuing their passions, in making money for their businesses, in creating stability in their lives, because I'm delivering quality to them. That's what you guys have an opportunity to do. Okay. And if it's scary, good. There's a little bit of scare factor involved in life. That's okay. Okay. Because you can overcome it, right? Courage is involved in that process to get to confidence. So, Jeannie, they're on the YouTube channel. They're all there. And you can email me. I'll send you the link. Or actually, V, if you're on, if you got the link for the YouTube channel that I've got, if you could drop that in, that would be great. All right. So last couple of things. And then, tomorrow we're going to talk more about our target audience. So get on Google, look up keywords, look for robust search results, websites, articles, groups, blogs, products. All of these different things can help you understand how big it is. Competition is a good thing. It doesn't have to be a niche where no one else is working. That can be a benefit for you guys. Don't try and be the only person to ever do it, because if you're the only one, it may just not be big enough, right? So all this makes sense. Search the keywords. You want to find popular search items. Some of you guys, if you come with a niche that is where the numbers don't support it and you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome, find a way to make sure that the numbers add up, right? Because there's ways to look it up. If it doesn't add up on one, find it somewhere else, but you can find it. And if you can't find it anywhere, then maybe figure out, a different route. It's got to line up, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to market to them well enough to generate a revenue. And ultimately that's what matters. If you want to help a handful of local businesses, great, do that. Do it in your spare time as part of a passion project, but look at building your business, guys. And there's a pathway there. Yeah, be willing to move the dirt. Some of you guys have found some really cool niches. You just got to now build out that platform of branding yourselves around it, right? So yes, these slides will be available not until later in the week, because we're going to add on to them. I'm going to bring in a buddy who has helped brand I've worked with for years on branding in legitimately hundreds of different niches. We've done a lot of work together on a lot of different projects. You guys will absolutely love them. I've written ebooks with the guy. I've done, at this point now, I don't know, a couple hundred worth of hours of content together with him. So he'll be on later this week, and we'll keep rolling on this subject. You guys will enjoy meeting him. But on that note, come in tomorrow. We're going to talk about target audience. So if you have specific questions about the types of business or how to get in front of, or questions to ask, or ways to connect, those types of things, we're going to talk about your target audience tomorrow. So, hopefully come prepared and we'll dive into it. All right, guys, go out, do some work, make things happen, and we will talk with you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.